Hi, and welcome to another episode of Human Anatomy and Physiology with James. Today we're looking at the skeletal muscles of the face. In general, skeletal muscles have a site of origin and a site of insertion and an action. The site of origin is where the muscle begins, while the site of insertion is where the muscle terminates or inserts. And that dictates its action. The rule of thumb is the site of insertion will always pull towards the site of origin, thereby giving it its action. Okay, so let's begin. I have with me my mannequin right here, my head, and we're going to point out some of these muscles. Let's start out with the epicranial group. This is the epicranius right here. It includes the gallia aponeurotica, which is a very thick tendon tissue-like structure, or aponeurosis. This is the frontal belly of the epicranius group. The frontal belly originates on the aponeurosis, or the gallia aponeurotica, and inserts onto the frontal bone. And following our rule, we know that this allows us to raise our eyebrows, like so, or the muscles of the forehead. Okay, so that is the frontal belly. Posteriorly is the occipital belly, which originates on the temporal bone and occipital bone, but then inserts into that gallia aponeurotica, which allows us to pull the scalp posteriorly. Okay. Next we have the temporalis. The temporalis originates on the temporal fossa of the cranium, or temporal bone, and it inserts onto the coronoid process of the mandible, allowing us to raise the mandible, to close the jaw. Okay, that closes the jaw. The prime mover of the jaw is known as the masseter muscle right here. The masseter muscle originates on the zygomatic arch and inserts onto the angle and ramus of the mandible. Again, this is the prime mover of the jaw, allowing us to close the jaw. So that muscle right there. Now we come to muscles for our facial expressions. First is the Orbicularis Oculi, which essentially is the muscle for the eye. This allows you to squint, like so. Allows you to wink your eye, or simply close your eye. Okay? The Orbicularis Oculi originates on the frontal bone and the maxilla, along with the ligaments of the orbit, and it inserts into the eyelid. Okay, again, this muscle allows us to wink, squint, or close the eye. Good. Next muscle is the levator labisuperioris. Okay, the levator labisuperioris originates on the maxilla, the infraorbital margin of the maxilla, and the zygomatic bone, and inserts into the skin of the upper lip. Okay, and this gives us that expression that is so well known and attributed to Elvis Presley, that raising of the upper lip smirk. Right? You can do it on both sides. Okay, that is the levator labisuperioris. Next we come to the zygomaticus minor and zygomaticus major. These muscles are responsible for smiling. They originate on the zygomatic bone and insert into the skin of the lip, and it allows us to smile. It raises the lip for the smiling expression. That is the zygomaticus major and zygomaticus minor at work. Next, we have the risorius, which might be very difficult to point out here, but the risorius muscle originates in the fascia of the masseter and inserts at the skin at the corner of the lip, and it allows us to produce the grimace expression. That is the rhizorius. Next we come to the kisser, the Orbicularis oris, or the mouth lips. The Orbicularis oris indirectly originates on the mandible and the maxilla, and fibers of muscle tissue around the mouth, right? And it inserts into the fibers of the lip. Okay, allows us to pucker up and kiss. Next is our depressor labi inferiosus. This pulls the lip downward. It originates on the mandible, lateral to the midline, and inserts into the skin of the lower lip. So it pulls the lip downward. Okay. Next is the mentalis, which originates on the mandible and inserts into the skin of the chin. Right? It allows you to wrinkle the chin. Okay. Another muscle which you may not be able to see on our model here is the depressor anguli oris, which originates on the mandible below the incisors and inserts into the skin at an angle of the lip, or orbicularis oris. And it allows you to pull the lower lip downward at an angle. Okay, next we have the platysma. This muscle is often described as the muscle for fright, or men who shave will have to flex this muscle to get a good shave. That is the platysma. It originates on the fascia of the chest and inserts onto the lower part of the mandible. Okay, that is the platysma for shaving or to express fright. Right? Okay. Now, looking at our mannequin and thinking of the muscles, we have the buccinator. It's very difficult to see here, but the buccinator allows us to compress the cheeks for whistling. It originates at the molar region of the mandible and maxilla and inserts again into the orbicularis oris. Okay. I want to share with you one last muscle called the sternocleidomastoid. The name alone says it all. The sterno part refers to the sternum, cleido, clavicle, and mastoid, the mastoid process at the base of the skull. Now, the sternum and clavicle are the sites of origin, while the mastoid process is the site of insertion. And this allows us to move our head forward. So the site of insertion towards the site of origin. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time. And please check out my website, www.orinjames.com, for more information. Thank you.